I'm Glenn Sutherland. I'm one of the directors of the THRA, the Tuolumne Historical Railroad Association, and we are at our very first, what we're now calling a field trip. And this one, it's kind of an experiment. We're learning as we go, but we hope to make this a continuing series of field trips, which are intended to be more informal and maybe a little more freeform and varied than our annual Sierra Railway seminar that we do in April or May each year. This one, we're at the ranch of a fellow THRA director named Patrick Carnahan, who has a large ranch on top of Table Mountain. And Table Mountain has great significance to fans of the Sierra Railway. Table Mountain was one of the two major geographical obstacles to completing the Angels branch that went from Jamestown over to Angels Camp in Calaveras County. And not right here, but close by is a long, deep, curved cut that consumed a huge amount of resources just to get across the mountain. And yet ahead for the railroad was getting across the Stanislaus River Canyon. So we're close to that, and Table Mountain has great significance. It's an ancient lava flow, actually. And Patrick's got a beautiful place here. At one end, there's a huge cliff that you overlook, and he's built a 7.5-inch gauge ride-on railroad, but it goes to the edge of that cliff. It's just a very scenic ride, and so he's giving us rides today. We also have had several presentations, just a variety of things of interest to fans of Tuolumne County railroads.
I want to thank everybody for coming out today. I hope you'll have a good time.
Yes.
This is a THRA event, Tuolumne Historical Railroad Association, and we're hoping to have a few more of these, one in November and then in maybe January and later next year. So this is the first one. So if you got ideas of what you'd like to see us do or other suggestions, tell Glenn. No.
Tell either one of us.
Either one of us, yeah.
And not just ideas of topics, but also possibly locations. We envision these being at different places to go where the history is, not necessarily just bring it all to us on paper.
And all that time, you know, even though we're going to be talking about X, Y, Z, you can bring other stuff. There might be special ones more on layouts and things like that, but it's open to just getting familiar with people and getting ideas from each other and having a good time. So we've got a couple speakers today. Frank's going to get up here in a little bit and talk about Pickering. If those that were at the dinner last April, and Scott McGee talked about his number 10 and 15 West Side, we're hoping to be able to kind of do that, but now on the Pickering.
In that context, let's mention, and most of you know this, but that speech was recorded by John and Sydney and is available on YouTube. And if you haven't seen it, I really encourage you to look that up.
It's also on our website.
Yeah, you can get at it either directly on YouTube or through a link on our website.
Right. And then Mike has some things that he'd like to maybe talk about, is some of his equipment.
One other possible topic today, Patrick said he'd be happy to talk to us if we have time about the joys and sorrows of building your own 7.5-inch gauge railroad, which he's doing a beautiful job on so far.
Thank you so much.
He's glad to tell us about some of his rolling stock and his track building program.
No problem.
And then for those who are interested, I have my house, open house, this at 6 to 8 o'clock. There's maps and a map of the layout. If you can't make it today, pick those up and then give me a call. And whenever you're up this way, give me a call and we'll get you there and just take a good look at the layout. And John Scott's, his G-Scale Angels branch is open this afternoon. Talk to John. He'll give you directions to get to his house.
Good afternoon. Here we are at Table Mountain on top of Mr. Carnahan's 7.5-inch gauge railroad with the Tuolumne Railroad Historical Association. I gave a little talk on the working agreement, Pickering Lumber Company with the railroad, 1940. And let's see, my great-granddad, James Burgess, worked at Sierra as conductor. He was friends with Thomas Bullock and the whole bunch of old-timers. And he finally retired about 1937. Also, family ran and operated the West Side and Cherry Valley Railway from 1966 up until about 1975. We had 2 engines in service, 12 and a 15. Ran 8.5 miles of track out to the North Fork of the Tuolumne River Bridge. Other members of the family worked for THRA, and some of the other relations worked for Pickering, and then had friends of the family who worked for Hetch Hetchy. So, being a retired locomotive engineer myself, I've always been interested in railroad history, and I volunteered with Railtown as a volunteer in the machine shop, along with 2 other retired machinists, and one of them is also a retired engineer as well. But anyway, it's been a great time up here. It's a good organization, and if you're interested in history in Tuolumne County with the railroads, all gauges, get in contact with the association.
Hi, my name's Chris Rogers. I'm probably one of the newest members to the Tuolumne Historical Railroad Association. The reason why I joined this association is because I've been a resident of Tuolumne County for most of my life, since I was probably about 5 years old. And I was lucky enough to grow up right along the Sierra Railroad. So I have fond memories as a child growing up watching the Sierra Railroad, watching both the excursion trains from Railtown 1897 and the freight trains that actually operate on the Sierra Railroad on a daily basis. So joining this association gives me an opportunity to know what's going on with these railroads. If there's anything that I can do to contribute to make sure that these railroads are forever lasting, so to speak, to increase their increase their lifespan. If there's something I can contribute, if there's something I can do to be a part of that means a lot to me, and that's one of the reasons why I joined this association.
Hi there, my name's Mike Ninneman. I have been a modeler of the Sierra Railway for about 15 years now. I came to the THRA meet today hoping to share information and meet some new people. And to that extent, I also brought some of the models that I've been working on over the last few years, including some ones that I finished within the last couple of weeks. I modeled the Sierra Railway in the year 1929. For the last several years, I've been doing a lot of research to try to model it as accurately as possible. There's a lot of things that those who know about the Sierra Railway probably only know on the surface level, and so I've been trying to dig deep and find those details and then incorporate it into my modeling. For example, I have a structure here that is a duplicate of a general store that was right across the street from the passenger and freight depots in Jamestown. Most people probably have never seen or didn't know anything about, but it was there in 1929. Over the last week, I've been doing a lot of research trying to gather photographs and measurements in order to build an accurate scale model of it. Sometimes it's easier said than done. Some of the pieces of equipment that I have here today, I have detailed measurements of. A lot of them I don't, and that makes the projects a lot more interesting, a lot more difficult. But at the end of the day, if you can complete one of those projects after putting all that work into it, it makes the hobby a lot more enjoyable. And so that's one of the things that I'm hoping to share with the people that have come to the meet today. So one of my goals as a modeler of the Sierra Railway is to eventually build models of every single locomotive, passenger car, freight car, and railroad structure that the Sierra had in 1929. So far, I have 3 of the 5 cabooses that were on the roster at that time. I have the one and only stock car that they had in those years. I have 3 of the box cars out of, I think there were 5 or 6 in those days. One of my future projects is to build all of the maintenance of way cars, but that is probably going to be several more years down the road. As I said before, I've been doing this for about 15 years now, so hopefully there's a lot more time left to accomplish all of those tasks, but there's a lot of things left to do in the meantime.
I'm Les Gregory. I feel that I owe them a great deal of gratitude, so much so that I became a lifetime member of the organization, and because I feel I owe it to them. They have given me so much.
Hello, my name is Austin Castro. I'm from originally the Merced County area, now Oakdale. Came up today to come out to the THRA's field trip at Patrick's. Came up and decided to help with running trains and brought my modules of the THRA Railroad location, Warnerville. I decided to model the year 1926 because there seemed to be a lot of things going on that year that particularly piqued my interest along the lines of the dam projects and some of the rolling stock and locomotives, and then also some of the different places on the railroad as well. Warnerville was a place that it's nice and easy because you have one main line, you have a passing track, and you have a couple small structures that make it work out quite nicely for a beginning section to model. I've modeled some structures like what I believe to be one of the first water tanks in Warnerville. It actually had a standpipe that came up in between the track and the front of the water tank that would rotate over the back of the tender to fill up the tender on the locomotives. Kind of fit in with the atmosphere of the THRA and what their goals and their missions are. So I figured I'd bring up a little something of what I got cooking and showcase what I have with everybody here. But I want to thank the THRA for hosting the event, and it was very gracious of them to invite me to come out and have a nice time with everybody.
I'm Patrick Carnahan, and I'm the owner of the Gold Wall Ranch and Vineyard. And if we didn't know by now, the reason I'm here is because I'm into trains and railroading, railroad history in general. I inherited this ranch, 120-acre ranch, from my father, who was an avid railroad photographer. Started shooting pictures back in the 1940s during World War II after he got out of the service, and then he started shooting color slides. He's responsible for a lot of our really nice color photographs for the Sierra Railroad, Pickering and West Side, which is what it's all about. I'm also a board of director of the Tuolumne County Railroad Historical Society, and we want to influence other people to be interested in our local railroad history. And here at my 120-acre ranch, I've actually built a railroad. It's called the Table Mountain Railroad. Right now, it currently consists of about a mile of track. The gauge is about 7.5-inch gauge. I have 4 steam locomotives. Today at the meet, we operated 2 of the steam locomotives and 1 of the diesels. And the people that participated today have to learn a little bit about how to fire a steam locomotive, because the miniature engines that we run out here are just like the big ones. The valves are a little bit smaller, but they're hot and they burn. You still boil water and you got steam pressure. You have injectors. So if you learn a little bit here, you could probably go and run a big engine, because there's not really too much difference. It's about boiling water. But there's other things. This is considered a mountain railroad. I have 3% grades. So you always have to pay attention where your water glass is. Make sure you have enough steam pressure to get up a 3% grade. You have to know how to brake your train, and it's quite rewarding. Today was our first annual event here, and we had a nice turnout. And people heard a little bit about the history of Tuolumne County railroading. They got to experience a miniature railroad ride. And what was nice too, there were a lot of model railroaders here too, so they got to talk a lot about their hobbies. A lot of us model in N-scale, G-scale, HO, live steam, and some of us only are interested in the big boys, and I happen to be interested in all. So anyways, we're here today, and again, my name is Patrick, and it was a fantastic day, had great weather, and right here at the Gold Wall Ranch and the Table Mountain Railroad. It's been a pleasure.
Our mission is to help preserve the history of all the railroads of Tuolumne County, of which there were an amazing number with amazing variety. Logging, building dams. Actually, the California Peach Growers Railroad was in Upper Tuolumne County. but the center, sort of the trunk to the tree that those were all branches of, is the Sierra Railway. But again, our mission is to preserve the history of all those railroads. If you're interested in those, please visit our website, which is tuolumnerailroad.org, and you can click through to various activities that we have going on, various events like this one. But also, if you want to become a member, there's an opportunity there for that. So we encourage you to take a look and join us if you'd like. Thank you.